All right, there he is, Brandon Thorn. That's why you have a guy like Brandon Thorn on, is to talk about this line, really hear about it from an expert and see what he has to say and where things are. He's telling you how bad this line has been. He's telling you he didn't think the line was going to be that spectacular. I had this line about 20th. Now, obviously, take Brandon's rankings ahead of mine. Please don't even consider going, well, Bill had him 20th. So, no, take Brandon's rankings. Brandon has him 24th. I certainly trust his rankings more than mine. I thought they were about the 20th best OL unit. But again, is that wildly different? No. Below average. Brandon's got him more, I would say, closer to the bad group, not good enough group, more than just below average. I think that 17 to 20, 21 is more below average, but you get the point, right? He's saying this unit wasn't going to be great coming into the year, but it should be better than what it's shown. And he showed you some ways where they've struggled and how they can improve. So let's get to the questions here. We've got a lot of offensive line questions because really, what else is there to talk about? I mean, you want to talk about Caleb, but it's hard to talk about Caleb when all you can talk about is how well he's doing avoiding pressure. So let's get to at Juan Gone 1105. What can the Bears even do to shore up the interior of the O-line at this point? Can they throw $1 billion at Jason Kelce? No, Juan, they cannot. And that's what this is here, guys. And we've talked about it. There is nothing they can really do to shore this up. They can get more reps together so they play better as a group. They can get healthier. Having Ryan Bates available would certainly help. And they can just kind of see where this goes as they get more reps and get healthier and hopefully start playing together better. No, they are not going to be able to go out and get some massive interior guy via trade or anything. You're not getting Jason Kelce out of retirement. There's really not much you can do. So that's the problem here. That's the problem. This is the group. If you wanted to try something, you could put Matt Pryor at right guard. That's about the only thing I think you could do at this point. But again, Nate Davis has had bad reps, but Nate Davis has not been the worst offensive lineman. So again, I think you just got to give this a couple weeks and see what happens. So at Speaks 99, with everyone talking about benching Nate Davis, here we go. Shouldn't we instead be talking about benching Tevin Jenkins, who's been objectively worse? And no, you can't bench Tevin Jenkins because of his ability in the run game. Now, I thought Tev improved a good amount in the pass game last year. Brandon Thorn tells you not so much. He definitely improved, but not as much. He said not as much as he would have wanted to see. So that's a little eye-opening there. You sit there and go, okay, you got to trust someone's opinion sometimes more than yours. You got to look at where the source is. So I'm looking at that and going, Tevin Jenkins was never a great pass blocker, but I thought he was good enough. And Brandon's telling you, well, he probably wasn't good enough last year. But either way, this is what it's coming down to here. Tev struggles in pass pro, and now you've got a center in Coleman Shelton who's worse at pass pro probably than Tevin Jenkins, and you have the two of them next to each other. So you have to sit here and wonder, is that the best option moving forward? Or is this where you really need Ryan Bates at center? I know he's more of a guard, and it looked like he was trying to work in to Nate Davis's spot, but is it where you need Ryan Bates to get in for Coleman Shelton? Is that the issue? Is Coleman Shelton, in essence, bringing down Tevin Jenkins with him? The two of them are basically making each other worse. So that's an issue. At IMX007, when will Chris Morgan be held accountable? Hard to see anything he's done the last couple years. All right. So I agree. I don't know if Chris Morgan had done enough to be the guy who kept his job when basically everyone on the offensive coaching staff lost their job. That was a little odd to me. And I think I said it at the time. And you can sit there and say, well, the offensive line wasn't good enough. Why is Chris Morgan staying? And you can make an argument. And again, we're not behind the scenes. We're not at these practices, so we don't know. But Tevin Jenkins did successfully make the move to guard. How much did Chris Morgan play into that? Darnell Wright looked to improve and have a solid rookie season. How much did Chris Morgan play into that? You can look at these type of things. Braxton Jones, a 5th-round pick, has been the Bears' steady left tackle now going on his 3rd season. How much Does Morgan get credit for that? So we can sit there and say, well, this, Lucas Patrick stinks and he didn't get any better and Nate Davis is a waste. You could say all these things and blame Chris Morgan, and that's fine. But you can also sit there and say, well, Braxton Jones plays better than 99% of every fifth-round pick offensive lineman that's ever been taken. Tevin Jenkins has become a really dynamic run blocker at guard and, a better pass blocker at guard. How much did Chris Morgan help there? So you can make an argument of why Chris Morgan stayed. I still thought it was a bit surprising, but like Brandon said here, the Colts, Rams, and Panthers, these are not big-time defensive lines. If this unit doesn't look appreciably better over the next few weeks, then you're going to start looking at Chris Morgan and going, what on earth are you doing with this group? At Dano561, is it reasonable to expect Amagaji to start sometime in the next couple months? Dan, no, I don't think it is. And I said a tweet about this at Bill T. Zimmerman. You can go check it out. I put out all the reasons why. I don't think Amagaji should play. I certainly don't think you should change Amagaji's position. And if you're saying expect him to start sometime in the next couple months, I assume you mean you're changing his position, unless you want to change Braxton Jones's position. And if you're going to do that, one, I don't think Braxton Jones has the strength to be inside a guard. I really don't. And you put lack of strength next to lack of strength Coleman Shelton, and you have a lot of lack of strength there in the interior. I don't think that's a good plan. But if you do this, think about what you're talking about doing. If you're talking about making this move, you're putting Amagaji at left tackle. So you got a rookie left tackle. You don't know how he's going to perform. Now you got Braxton Jones moving in the left guard, a position he hasn't played. Now it's a position change there. You're going to bump Tevin Jenkins over to right guard. All right. And then I assume you're going to put Ryan Bates at center, who's been mostly a guard. So in essence, you'll have Darnell Wright at right tackle. That's where he's been. Okay, fine. Then you're going to have a rookie left tackle, a new left guard, a new right guard, and then a new center. That doesn't look like a good plan either, Dan. So no, I don't think Amagaji is going to start unless they have injuries to the point where he has to. All right. How about I'm Little John? I noticed Caleb spending a ton of time up at the line changing stuff. We can't know the specifics of what he's checking into, but can those last second changes contribute to the confusion of the OL? Well, we talked about it with Brandon there, John, and he says it's difficult to know because you just don't know what's going on. The Tevin Jenkins thing is interesting about, well, we're blocking where we're supposed to block kind of thing. But are they losing reps? Is he saying that the protection calls are wrong or that the scheme is poor? There's something there, right? If Tevin Jenkins is saying that, he's not saying – Tevin Jenkins would just say we need to execute better, we need to hold our blocks better. If he just says we're losing one-on-ones, we're blocking the right people. That's not what he was saying. To me, he's saying there's something broken here and the entire unit is struggling because of it. What was he hinting at? Lil John, that's the question. What was he hinting at with that? Because that's the issue. That's kind of this core issue, the confusion in the run game. And Brandon agreed, there was something missing at that second level of the run game, the pass protection, the missed stunts, something is going on. And we have to wait and see until we get some more information. At Bear Down, we've seen linemen go elsewhere and improve. Is there an issue with Chris Morgan giving the running game's issues the last 2 years? What type of running game would work best for these five plus Herbert instead of Swift? Swift did his line no favors in a few runs last week. Swift's vision has been off, but again, the second level blocking has been off. Again, it looks so bad to me. It's very hard to analyze. And that's why you need a guy like Brandon, who's a better analyst than I am, to look at these things and try and have a better understanding of what's going on with this unit. And again, I went over why I think Chris Morgan probably kept his job. The running game was really good with David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert, wasn't quite as good last year. And again, this is where it's tricky with running backs, right? You don't want to spend a ton of money on a running back. $8 million on DeAndre Swift is a lot. But when they spent no money on running backs, which I endorsed, I supported, when you had Khalil Herbert on a rookie deal, Deontay Foreman on a 1 year, like $1 million deal or $2 million deal, and Roschon Johnson on a rookie deal, you're like, here are three competent running backs, and they've spent like $7 million in the backfield, if not less. I think $5 million in the backfield, whatever it was. Great, right? We're not spending any money on running back, but then you see the unit struggle a little. So did the offensive line get worse from 2022 to 2023, even though the player talent improved? I would highly doubt that. So did that come down to just the running backs trying to execute there? Now you see DeAndre Swift struggling. And again, let's see what happens over the next couple of weeks, because Khalil Herbert, and I've talked about it on this podcast, and I've talked about it. Khalil Herbert is a better runner of the football, I think, than DeAndre Swift. Khalil Herbert is a very good runner of the football. But if you're going to put Khalil Herbert out there, he's got to do better in other aspects of the offense, and he just doesn't do it. And that continues to be the issue with Herbert there, is getting him involved in the offense in other ways where you're not telegraphing plays as much when he's out there. At Billy Billy Kidd at BTK2976. Some people are blaming the offensive line struggles on Chris Morgan, the O-line coach. Is there any relevance there? Again, Billy, we've talked about this a few times. Maybe. And is that a cop-out? Sure, that's a cop-out answer, but maybe is where we're at right now. We need to see if this improves over the next few weeks. All right. I get this is from Adrian at ASH Sports. I get the O-line is an issue, but some of these protection calls and short yardage plays have been outright abysmal from Waldron. What is going on? It looks like a massive mistake to undergo this hire when guys like Kubiak were also there, but it is what it is at this point. I am not blaming all this on Shane Waldron. Okay, guys. I know every team hates their offensive coordinator, except like the Lions. There's a couple, but here's the thing, guys. Shane Waldron ran a competent offense for 3 years with Cooked Russ and Geno Smith. His offensive DVOA over 3 years was ranked 11th in the league. Is that happening by mistake? An offensive coordinator with below average quarterback play, even if you want to say, I like Geno Smith, you're not saying Geno Smith's a top 10, top 12 QB. You're saying Geno Smith's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. If you're getting to be a borderline top 10 offense for 3 years with that quarterback play, that is not a mistake. Shane Waldron knows what he's doing. Now, is Shane Waldron perfect? No. And here's the thing. You don't need to think that Shane Waldron is some coup that the Bears got, that they just stole him. It was great that he was available. He's a solid offensive coordinator. But no one is trying to say that Shane Waldron is one of the top 5 offensive minds in the league. And when you combine offensive head coaches with offensive coordinators, you come up with, and I'm going to miss some guys here, but you come up with Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, Ben Johnson, Matt LaFleur, Shane Steichen, Sean Payton. I know the Broncos have struggled, but he's got years of a great offense in New Orleans. Mike McDaniel. It doesn't, Todd Monken with what he's done with Lamar Jackson. It doesn't take too long to come up with 10 or 11 names that are established, smart, offensive-minded coaches in the league. And, Shane Waldron would settle in behind them. So Shane Waldron, above average to average offensive mind. Now, again, is that better than the Bears have had? Probably. So again, this comes back to the Matt Eberflus retention. You're not getting. Could you have gotten Ben Johnson? Would Ben Johnson have left? Again, he may not be a great head coach when his time comes, but do you want to take a chance with a guy like Ben Johnson, who could be a dynamic head coach potentially, is a great play caller in Detroit? And would he have left? He didn't leave to go to Washington, but would he have left for the opportunity to work with Caleb Williams? Maybe. So again, this is where it comes down to Matt Eberflus. Shane Waldron was the best hire based on resume. Now, you want to sit there and say Clint Kubiak was available? He was. And Clint Kubiak comes from Gary Kubiak's DNA, which, of course, is tied to Mike Shanahan and that offense. So you're almost getting tapped into the creators of the Shanahan-style offense with Kubiak and Shanahan there. But at the same time, Clint Kubiak was pretty good with his 1 year in Minnesota. Didn't have a ton of play calling experience, a mild amount, just 1 year of play calling experience. Bears fans probably would have been nervous as him as the offensive coach. Now, he's done a great job in New Orleans, and he really did do a phenomenal job with Dallas, but let's see what happens with Clint Kubiak over the next few weeks. Will the Saints come down to earth a little bit? Because how much momentum do they get from literally playing the worst team in the NFL, the Carolina Panthers, and crushing them? Panthers haven't even been competitive. We'll see if that gets better with Andy Dalton. But I mean, seriously, this isn't that impressive from Clint Kubiak, considering the opponent. One of the, again, Dallas, good. I understand that. But let's see what happens here. If Clint Kubiak's team is averaging well over 30 points and we're at the end of October, wow, did the Bears miss an opportunity there? Obviously. But let's see what happens here. I'm not saying he's a bad offensive coordinator. Clearly, he knows what he's doing to put up 90 points or whatever he's done the first 2 weeks of the season. But let's give this a chance. Let's give our offensive line an actual chance to grow a little bit, hopefully be competent moving forward, and see what Shane Waldron's offense looks like with competent line play. That's where we're at right now. That's where we need to see where this goes with this Bears offense. So we have one more question here. Chris Armstrong, is Brandon a better name for receivers or OL dudes? Well, I mean, it's a good name for an offensive line, but when you got Brandon Marshall, are there other Brandons besides Brandon Marshall? I mean, if you told me Brandon, what kind of position would Brandon be? It feels like a linebacker to me. That's what I think, Chris. Brandon is a linebacker name more than it is receiver or offensive line. I can only think of Brandon Marshall right now. Maybe I'm drawing a blank, or Brandon Ayuk, I guess. I'm going linebacker. I'm going none of the above. I'm going linebacker. All right. Let's wrap this up with a prediction. Indianapolis Colts on the road. The Colts 0-2. They are going to be pressing for a victory. They do not want to fall to 0-3. This is a team. The Colts kind of like the AFC version of the Bears. Young quarterback. Anthony Richardson's kind of a rookie based on the idea that he only played 4 or 5 games last year before he was injured. So when you look at that, this guy doesn't have a ton of reps, but they've got a pretty good team around him. And just how good can this team be? Now, the defense has looked bad. The worst run defense in the NFL right now belongs to the Indianapolis Colts. Can the Bears improve? Yes, the Bears will improve this week running the football. Will they average 4 yards a carry? That's the goal. From running backs, 4.0. I'm not asking for a lot. I'd probably take 3.5 from the running backs, but I'm going to be bold. I want 4.0 yards per carry by the running backs, not inflated by a DJ Moore sweep or a Caleb Williams scramble. I want it from the running backs. They should be able to average 5.5 yards a carry, but I just want them to feel better and have a competent running game and give Caleb Williams a little time to throw the football. This defensive line is struggling. DeForest Buckner is out. That is clutch for the Bears. I wanted to play the team at their strength, so we know how good. I want to win right now. That's what I want. And I want this Bears offensive line to start getting some confidence in themselves, because I don't think they have any right now. So play better, get this offense looking competent, and let the defense. Anthony Richardson's going to hurt him on a couple big plays because that's what he does, but he's very inconsistent right now. Let the defense get some interceptions and make him pay. I think the Bears are going to win this. I think this is going to be a game where, this upcoming Monday, Bears fans are going to be feeling better about things, because I think the offense isn't going to look amazing, in my opinion, but they're going to say, hey, that is definitely improved. That's what I think it's going to feel like. The defense will still be strong and the offense will be improved, which means things will be pointed in the right direction. So I don't know exactly how many points the Bears are going to score offensively. Again, I don't think they're going to be hitting that 24-27 range, but let's say the Bears win this one 20-16. That's what we're going to go with. 20-16 Bears. The Bears get a win. The offense is going to crack, let's say, 300 yards of offense. We're going to say they score about 330, 340 yards of offense. Caleb Williams is going to throw for about 210 yards. Bears are going to run for about 120 yards. They're going to pick off Anthony Richardson at least once. This is going to look a lot better, and the Chicago Bears will improve to 2-1 with another home game against a Rams team that is struggling and banged up right now. coming up the week after that. So we'll talk to you next week. Bear down, everybody. Adios.